When it comes to becoming financially free, these days it seems like it's harder more now than ever between high interest rates, rising inflation, and all of the pressures of what we call lifestyle inflation that have compounded over time. So today we're going to talk about some secrets to becoming financially free and actually feeling and embracing that financial freedom. Hi, I'm Olivia Kirk.
I'm Tim Urich. We're from Tier 1 Capital, and we're here to show you how to regain control of your money. So you make a good income, and you're trying to save as much money as possible because you want to be financially free. But there's so much conflicting information out there. That's why we made this video, to show you the secrets of becoming financially free.
Well, let's just start with the simple question of what is financial freedom? And I think it really starts off with a feeling, right? Of freedom is a feeling of not being chained, of not being tied down to something bigger than you, by something bigger than you. And so when it comes to financial freedom, how do we become financially free? Well, we stop doing the things that are making us feel tied down. And at Tier 1 Capital, we talk about that being not giving up control of our money and making our money as efficient as possible so that we have control of a pool of cash and we're able to use it to achieve the goals as the goals come up instead of feeling restricted by stockpiling buckets of money for different goals.
Yeah, so that's a great point, because a lot of times people save money here for retirement and here for my children's college education and here in case we have an emergency. So they have all these little buckets, or we like to refer to them as envelopes. But at the end of the day, you're living your life to fill these little buckets or these envelopes, but you're also living your life on a macroeconomic basis. So when you come into an emergency and there's not enough money in the emergency fund, now what do? Do you take money from the college education fund? Or do you take money from the retirement fund to get by on the emergency? And what we found is when you sort of set up these microeconomic little buckets or envelopes, that restricts your ability to go with the flow or take advantage of opportunities or address emergencies that come up.
Absolutely. And another thing to consider is if they were actually in envelopes, it wouldn't be as big of a deal. But a lot of times when you earmark your accounts for different things like college education or retirement savings, there are restrictions and penalties associated with sticking your hands in that envelope. And that's really where the issue comes in, right? It's not giving you that agility to adjust as life happens, right? So what happens in most American households, if you don't have that emergency fund or if the emergency fund isn't large enough, then you need new tires, you need a new hot water heater, and everything goes in three, so the fridge is probably going too. And you're forced to borrow, which isn't necessarily the most ideal situation.
Yeah, and that's again such a great point, because just looking at it from a practical perspective, we met with a doctor, it was probably about 15 years ago. He was making over $850,000. He had $1.5 million in his retirement account, and he was frustrated because they wanted to take their family, his wife and 4 children, they wanted to go to Disney, and they knew the only way they could go was to put it on a credit card and pay 18% interest. Why? Because they had all of their money restricted. It was either in retirement accounts, 529 accounts, or home equity. They had no liquid savings and no way to get through an emergency. And that was the frustrating thing. And the reality was, when you're giving up control of your money, the first step is really easy, but it's also hard. Stop giving up control. But it's also hard because it's things you've been doing that everybody says is the right thing to do, but it's also creating a cash flow issue for you.
Exactly. And it's funny because it's the exact things that you think are moving you forward that are actually holding you back. And we call that being rich on paper, right? A great income, great retirement account, but no access to money. And access to money is what gives you that feeling of financial freedom, just wrapping it back to the beginning, right?
Exactly.
So it really comes down to, how do you put yourself in a position where you have liquidity, use, and control of that money, so that when you want to go on vacation, when you want to buy a new car, when you want to put a down payment on your dream house, how do you put yourself in a position where you're able to do exactly that at the time that you want to do it, right? And it starts with those baby steps, right? Those small, simple disciplines, shifting from, okay, I had the discipline of saving in a retirement account, but now I'm going to save in a place where I have liquidity, use, and control of that money instead.
Yeah, so that's the first step in financial freedom, is positioning yourself to be in a position to take advantage of opportunities and to weather whatever life throws at us as far as emergencies.
So step number 2 in becoming financially free is to look at where your money's going now, right? Do an inventory, an audit, if you will, of where your money's going now, and see where there are inefficiencies, see where there are places where you could make that money more efficient, right? Because we only have so much money coming in. And if we could be saving more, we would be saving more. So that's when it comes down to, okay, where am I giving up control of my money, my cash flow, without knowing it? And how could I make small adjustments in order to move myself forward financially?
And what we always say is, the reality is, you have enough money to do all the things you want to do to become financially free. The question is, are you using your money effectively and efficiently? And that's where we could help you, by doing an audit to show you exactly where your money is going and how it's either moving you forward or holding you back. There's no cost or obligation. The second step is, you got to stop doing things that are holding you back. And then the third step is really to save your money in a way or in an area where you have complete liquidity, use, and control. And then the final step is basically to borrow against your savings and pay interest back to an entity that you own and control, so that you continue to be in control, not only of your money, but also of your cash flow.
And when we talk about that, we call it regaining control of that finance function in your life. So instead of financing through a bank or a credit company, you get to determine the terms of that financing function, right? Because at the end of the day, everything we purchase is financed. We either pay interest to borrow someone else's money, or we give up interest by giving up our savings and draining that tank. So by regaining control of that finance function, we're able to still buy the things we want to buy, and we're able to determine the terms at which we repay them, which is really where that freedom comes in, right? Because if I'm making a loan to myself, I'm able to say, okay, I want to take this amount of money, which I have saved, and I want to pay it back over this amount of time, and I have this amount of cash flow in order to do that. And the benefit of that is, as I pay myself back, I rebuild that pool of money, and I'm able to rinse and repeat and do it again in the future.
Yeah, and the point is that your money never leaves your control. Mm-hmm. And that's why our key, or our process, is focused on being in control. When you're in control, you can't lose.
If you will, control equals freedom. If you'd like to learn more about exactly how to put this process to work for your life, visit our website at tier1capital.com. Also, if you like this video, check out these two. We picked them out special for you.
Thank you so much for watching our video. And remember, it's not how much money you make.
It's how much money you keep that really matters. We'll see you in the next one.